Over the last year, Wolves have played a lot more than that.
Yep.
A total of 13 times. They've only won it 3 times, however, so I mean, he's also not looking too bright. A win against Direwolves, against TT9 and M&M is what they have on board. And
see, until this recent performance, you'd say that that was 3 not easy teams to take it from, but easier
it's also
matches.
not the hardest teams to
Yeah. Whereas M&M, I mean, they're the undefeated. They're the best SI Quals team. So Flores, fast move. Pretty clever. I mean, they can be very, very good on this, and French teams do really enjoy Flores. Ying, we will have Iana on the board this time round.
See if that changes the game. Maybe that was the game plan all along. Let's get Iana back on the board.
But it limits Ying and Candelas. It's something that, you know, it's in a very good spot. She's in a very good place, and she's in very good hands in G2's hands. So anyone can use her right now. It's that sort of level of entry. However, some people can use her very well.
Yeah, and if you do, she's very impressive. It's just hard to deal with. Basically, only having Warden that can look through. And
it's also worth mentioning that one of the things that Fabian highlighted is that our team plays better than their team play. They're just having a couple of big pop-off players.
Yeah.
Ying functions best with good teams, good team play.
Yep, for sure. Having Ying, of course, Ying is the only person that doesn't get flashed besides Warden, but you know, it's so good for an execute. Like 8 out of the 10 players of the team could be blind at that point. Win a match, rather. As we get underway for the first round, we're headed towards the top floor. It is going to be Cocktail. G2 starting off on the defense here. Nothing really changed. Looking at the last game, or last map they played, we had 7 entries for G2, 8 for Wolves, and 6 out of 7 entries for G2 translated into a round. The only exception, round 15, where they lost it.
Yeah.
So entry is going to be quite important here. Historically speaking, G2 does have a better entry percentage than Wolves against them. But, I mean, as I just mentioned, Wolves somehow really good into it, into this game so far in terms of entries. So if they manage to keep that up here, this could be a good second map for Wolves.
Pretty standard setup, pretty standard approach here. Obviously the IQ is grown in with the sort of presence of a lot of electricity gadgets. No Solus, no Valk, so you're at least not directly responding to them, but you've still got a lot of possibilities. You've still got a lot of control you can be offered. Here's a catch, Mowgli, do you know? Oh, they're going wider. There's the C4! No! Just held shift and dropped down. And the Iana survives.
Well done there. That's probably why he didn't go up instantly. He was expecting something to happen and, you know, just making sure that whatever it was being tossed at first. Make a lot of noise. Survived. Magnets are being spotted out. That's just to catch any of the flashbangs going through. That's successful now. Grenade follows up quickly. Be rolling through all the way to the cocktail bar. Rice takes a lot of damage from the window. Eventually we'll get the first kill onto Benja though, so that's the entry for Wolves again.
Yeah, Benja, he went aggressive back onto Rise there. You assume there's some air jabs tucked and traced under white window, potentially on the nearby door run out as well, just to give themselves a little bit more modicum of safety. Alamau, he's under a bit of pressure. Virtue steps close towards Lumber and actually runs away. I was going to say maybe to offer some support, but it seems like the call and the pressure is coming against Cigar as well. They thought it was entirely east, but it's across every front. They have a bit of time here to start the drone work out. Blur, he's the one instead that steps into Lumber, steps onto where they lost Benja, and just make sure that there's at least somebody in every spot. The single loose player underneath, with the chance at a C4, with the chance of doing some damage, is Doki. The Vector can be very sharp, very pointed in the right hands. Just has to make the connection, and the shotgun as well. Open up holes if you get eyes on the planter.
Windows are making it so much more difficult. 2 of those architects currently in play. And even though they have the entry frag, Wolves don't really have any of that big, important control yet, as Alamau takes down 1. Doki finds another kill. The drop through the skylight is successful, though. Shinka picks up 1, but it's going to be collapsed upon now by the remaining G2 members, I believe.
Seeing if they can try and get the stick down, tucked on the second bar. They're able to get it from underneath. They said that's where Doki wants to be, and he went unchecked, and he was free to work it. The first was a C4. The second is both of them dancing in the middle of the site. 40 seconds. Wolves can't quite lock it out, though, and G2 open up with a first.
Good fucking job, guys.
It's good to get back into it. They lost the entry, but they still managed to basically turn it into their own advantage really quickly. of course, with the help of those castle barricades, the mirror windows, really shaping the side to their own desire.
Yep.
As Elamar said, we practiced against them. I don't know if that was a call for change of strategies because they practiced it against them, or if it was just affirmation going through.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Either way, 1-0 G2. Not bringing as many architects now, just the Zami, you know, just between brackets, because Zami's totally not impressive at all, you know.
The Zami is just powerful. There's no sort of two ways. I remember the old conversations you'd have about Legion when they were at their strongest, where you say there's not a bad sight for Legion. That's one of the things that makes him so good. There's never a moment where it's not a sort of bad thing to bring. And there was moments when you didn't really need Mira when she was super powerful. You didn't potentially really need Castle, you didn't potentially need whoever. That is where she is right now, and also a great gun, and also quite mobile, and also, and it just, the list goes on and on and on. So you've seen her just find such a solid place because, well, what's bad about her?
Nothing really. As G2 aware of that, using it as well, of course, and for the rest, a lot of traps as well coming through with the goo mines, with the frost mats. So your laser gates are some sort of denial as well in terms of throwables or just anti-personnel. Reactivate it shortly, of course, if there is a safe opportunity to do so. Smugly going around with his nice little drone. He's not going to get very far, spots out Ellenbaum, and not more information gained. Ellenbaum instantly rotates around, is headed towards Kojak, and that's something G2 have been doing well. Your position is known, you head into the next. You keep on swapping between those two to always keep them guessing. Now, it might have not fully worked out on the previous map, but Cafe has a lot more of these close angles around that really make that shine.
Turkey starts to put a bit more structure and buy himself some safety, and that's out of punch range. A very clever play there. It means that they cannot quite get it knocked out as easily if it was on the window, but you can still do that. Well, sometimes you get a little bit lucky with those grenades, and what a perfect response. Doki gone. Much earlier than GT would have liked, but at least Benja can find one back. Virtue gets hammered on the rotate round onto the top, and they've slipped on closer. Shinka pulls on further back. BB's watching from far away, but the DMR can be pretty powerful. One of the big costs right now, though, is, well, they haven't got anybody on the small bake to the right. They don't have anybody trying to crack it down, so they've got to go a little bit more direct. They do the line, cut off his rotate around onto the side if he wanted to try and take it via prep, and instead, Virtue, he's going to try and risk the engagement on the way back out the door. He's going to try and find it. Shinko, not quite sure if he's confident enough to take it back yet. They've slipped further and further, and the longer Virtue's here, the more of a problem it is for Wolves.
Yeah, they need to be cutting the pie perfectly here to find him and not actually thinking about the angle. Sneaks up, Shinka finds Virtue though. Bakery under control again, and there's openings made already they can use. FP4 is able to sneak out for the rest of the top 4 control. There's a player down there, Crouch, holding with a very nice tight angle. It doesn't quite hit the shots though, leans back into the fight. Hopes to take down P4.
You're looking at 20 seconds on the clock though, and Blur, they're able to win one out on the top. They have the vertical control, and with what was open before by the buck, it's sort of like, thank you very much, that's mine now. 2 versus 1. He's dropped back down. He's going for the engagement instead of trying to hold on to it. He's seeing if he can get the Ash first. Drops and sprays. Now it's the 2 versus 1. The first is his. The second cannot be. And Wolves respond with the kitchen.
A lot of energy coming down from Wolves. This grenade beautiful, by the way. Doki did not have a single opportunity to respond. And at some point, it just needed to go for it. The time was running out. They didn't really have all control. You just run through prep. You hope for the best. You make sure you have the cover on point, which was all there, 1-1. We're staying in this. Pulling up statistics for the map. Cafe, overall, during the 6th Invitational, has been played for a total of 130 rounds.
Wow.
3% of them went towards the defense. So if Wolves is able to pick up 3 rounds here on the attack, they are finding themselves in a good spot to try and lock this off with a 2-0. And even though, you know, over the 13 times they've played it, they've only won it 3 times over the past year, It doesn't matter if you win it right now, because the latest game you play is basically your current state of the map.
10 seconds
Wolves,
to go.
the response they needed. Things were a little bit back and forth. The lead-in on the grenade kill, as I said, was well-placed, well-timed. The instant response from Benja, and then that just continued across the whole map.
Attackers dropped the diffuser.
It's one of those showdowns where everybody seems itching to prove themselves in the gunfight situation, and coming down to a 1 versus 1 post-plant is one of those ones that's always as tight as it can really be. G2.
Swapping mag.
They're going to see if they can try and hold off on the middle floor. You start with the extension over towards the top. You force some play and attention, but this looks like it might have some of that ominous idea of not entirely quick, but clear what we need and plant right behind it. The control, the verticality directly above the reading room door, and then you sort of tuck it on the other side. You can see that G2's reading this. Blur's come over to open the hatch. Doki's come a little bit closer to offer some support, and Virtue with the C4 is underneath. They've sort of gone, this is on the east, and we said, well, let's meet him there.
So some players up on the top floor, and as you mentioned, 2 are looking to go in quickly, and maybe that is just going to be working out, but no, P4 instantly taken down. Diffuser dropped on the ground. Mowgli needs to go for a bit of a refrag here. Doesn't find either. It's a double entry for G2.
Very well read there from G2. As I said, they heard the noise. The warning bells were there, and they did not ignore them. Rise wanted to be hopefully able to catch some of them on the back end, but now that they've lost the opening 2, and remember where the diffuser is, it's kind of obvious what needs to be locked down at this point, and Wolves have to approach from the exact opposite side. Take this as the more formulaic, more standard of let's clear, let's push, let's do this and do this and do this. Unfortunately, they've got to do it with 2 less people.
It's not going to be making it more easy in the slightest. Possible? Yes. The time slowly starting to tick down, and you haven't really put a dent into the current defenses of G2 yet, which means it's all really turning into a bit of a frag fest. And if G2 have those 2 extra members on the board, and with the amount of time that's still just ticking down without really any progress being made by Wolves, this, you know, just becomes closer and closer to an actual G2 round.
Alamau trying to get the 15 kills that was ordered by the dear leader behind them, but Virtue's able to swing in and get 1. There's 1 more for us. Trouble. He's going to find the last fight. No! Virtue's able to lock it in, and G2 respond.
Fully aware of that push.
Can go bar again. I think bar is really easy. I think bar same strat.
Can we do a Zami strat?
No, I think we do same strat, but don't play base. Just give up base. Okay, just give up base.
Okay, they got 100 below, then I don't know.
There you go.
Okay, back to bar. Same strat, but they're going to give up basement. Which is very apt, because, hey, remember we pointed out the first time we were around here, Doki was underneath as the mirror, which, you know, it's not the most common roaming operator. It's not the most common one. The gun is precise, but it's not huge amounts of damage. And what you're looking at on this map is big, long firefights. You're looking down long corridors. You've got those from everywhere. And then you've got obviously the big open pillars area. So it's not the easiest. However, you have the C4, you have the shotgun, you have the calls. What they're sort of saying there is, look, I got away with this. That's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll just get out of there then.
Doki really wanted something else. Like, he's like, I think we can do bakery.
He was like,
no, we're going.
He was like, I can do a Zami. We can do a Zami.
Like, okay, can I do a Zami and bar then? It's like, no, we're doing the same as we were before. Doki really doesn't want to be playing the mirror,
No.
I think. But, you know, they found success the first time around. Maybe not truly due to the strategy, but more so due to rotations that were called. But that's fine as well. You don't need to be 100% watertight on your defenses.
No, of course
it's okay to give them a little bit of room here and there.
Well, that's the thing. The idea is, on a lot of defensive builds, is to give them bits of territory enough that breaks time and slows them down.
Yep.
You sort of create a structure in a map that says, well, you have to enter the room here. You have to start the maze that we've created here and go from this point onwards. Whether you do that with physical object, a la the castle, a la Azami, or whether you do that by punching a window saying, la 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 la, I'm over here, it's two with the same function. You're just drawing the focus of the team away and making sure that you're like, oh, well, we've got to deal with that now first. We have to go this route that they've opted us into.
Is that second one how you play Siege? Just la 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 la.
Yeah.
Either way, minute has passed, and they are letting them know that they are near. They are inside of Piano. but also falling back because they don't really want to stick around. Doki, down below again, has a C4 pre-placed, so does Virtue. Probably both around the actual piano area, so that mirror window is going to be the call sign to come through. That's a kill. No, oh, he could have blown it up. But Doki died first. That's going to be one of those C4s gone.
Yeah, Mowgli pulls himself out of whiskey and goes back towards the top of red, and I assume Doki got caught around white window and watched on the back end, which is, you know, always that sort of big risk. He knew he was going to be hunted. Unfortunately for him, he was proven correct before he could at least take anything out of the swing other than time. However, the fact that Wolves sort of beeline towards the default take on the top of red and did not suffer from any play underneath means that that's still pretty good par for the course. We can hear some of the structure being knocked open. The Habanas making this corner for Blur a lot more dangerous. Hops over into the more dangerous zone of it as Virtue does get his C4 pop off. Shinka's gone. No more break will come, but neither will Virtue. P4 gets the lockdown from the end. 40 seconds though. They've got to try and drive themselves into the no man's land of the site.
It's going to be difficult, but at least that mirror window is out of play now. No need to worry about it for now. They still need to be pushing themselves into side, and Blur inside of that freezer takes down the first, goes aggressive. The glasses go on to the flashbang zone, be effective. Benja takes down another as Blur finds Yana sprinting by, leaves it only up to P4 now in a 1v3 situation with 20 seconds left on the clock. Diffuser this time, not in hand.
Oh, not even Pengu knows what to do in this situation. A 3 versus 1. P4 suffers the scrap and the scrape. It was fantastic movement from G2. Blur, obviously, especially the little motions he makes. He's so calm when he sits and he stays and he waits, and he is a player who we've always said, you know, you can never tell the read on his face.
Yeah.
Just the game that he's playing and the level of stress that he's in. But moving and taking that jump over outside of the mirror window, holding it for as long as he did, and not going out back behind him, which a lot of other people would do, or try and duck under the Habana pallets. Instead, they sort of went here, okay, unexpected kill, and then push again, and you just love to see it. But Wolves take time out.
The one thing that confused me a little bit, though, is that we saw pre-placed C4 on the minibar, where the Habana was trying to take the fight from with opening the mirror window. And it just took like ages before that C4 blew up, and eventually did get the kill. That's when he jumped over. But it's like, if you'd done that earlier, you might have actually been able to save your mirror window there. Either way, that might just be part of giving away space here and there, wasting time.
Different energy from Wolves.
Yeah.
Different timeout. But to be fair, the timeouts that we've had, the first map had one from G2, and 20 seconds of it from our perspective watching G2 was actually French shouting from the other side, talking about KDs and who was better, and then on this, it's calm, it's collected, and that's, to be honest, based on the sounds of G2, where they want it to be. They're happy to play a calm, collected game now. They know that they've got a really good team dynamic, and they know that they can sort of impress that against their opponents here in Wolves.
And they need to as well. I mean, they were the ones that picked to play against Wolves. They had a lot of choice to go for. And they went for Wolves because they know the team so well. Thought it's the best way to go up towards that next round. Have yourself a little bit of security, and then see if you can actually make it to win that one as well. But as we approach again from the Wolves side, there's been a couple of times we've heard C4s to be tossed out by G2 members. One's of course from the hedge up top, one's from the window down below. Doesn't seem to be the case now, but Doki is hiding below. Could be going for an impact run out.
Mowgli's cautious of that. And there's always the threat of that on this map. There's a couple of moments. It's almost like the sort of do or die of Bank as well, with a little bit less of a grand scale, a little bit less of a hunt afterwards. You can throw yourself into those tricky positions. You can take risky rotates back round, but it's done as sort of a once-a-side treat. It's not something you can do on multiple different little pop your head out. There's not too many locations like that. And that's the safety that Wolves have here. They're cautious of exactly that play as we head over to Mining Dining.
Grenade being used here to open up the castle barricade. It's going to allow Wolves a way through. Just ducks in time, but the pings are there. It's taken down from above. And that's B4 striking big as he finds two.
Before driving themselves through after the tag timeout. Mowgli gets Blur as well. There's Alamau, at least able to find one. And the second tears the head off and making pretty great progress for the demands for Fabian. But still a 3 versus 2. Still the territory fallen into the hands of Wolves. They're just making sure that, well, Alamau has potentially left Lumber. He's not too far away, but he's not there, and that's the big, important part. Mowgli, the slow drift via pillars. Alamau going underneath. Benja kind of alone on the site right now. Needs some support to come, and it's going to come up brown stairs. Alamau, the big rotate behind, but at this point, Mowgli's moved a bit on. He's trying to find the fight in the corridor. They're going to meet each other quite like that. Rise at the full watch in the read on Alamau, and Benja has a minute to try and live this out.
50 seconds alone versus 3 Wolves hunting you together. He has some tight angles with the train carts here that he can hide in, and he is in the middle of the site, so he definitely has a good opportunity. Misses the first shots though, takes a lot of damage. He's going to be sandwiched as the plant goes down. He needs to take a fight somewhere. Swaps over to the SMG, gets taken down from behind. Right, shuts him down. 3-2. Right after the timeout, a way sharper Wolves we saw.
I'm not sure what Lillian found funny at the end of that, but they're in good spirits as well.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, they won that first map, and they also know they were not the favorites in this game. They are the Underwolves. Sorry.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
It's been a long
very
week.
proud of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I figured that one out.
I think you are proud of it. I think you should be, but it's just you said it like you weren't sure.
No,
They're the Underwolves. They were the Underwolves. You know what's under a wolf? A dog, because a wolf is a big dog.
How do you know the wolf's laying on a dog though? It's kind of.
No, I mean like from a hierarchy.
Oh, hierarchy. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You know the hierarchy of dogs?
No.
What's better, dogs or cats?
I'm a dog person.
Oh.
My girlfriend is a cat person, so it's.
They're both as good as each other.
To kill you the other wrong.
Yeah. Okay. 3-2. Doesn't matter who is what animal at this point. The only animal that we have ahead of us is a best of 3, and G2. They want to see if they can try and get a 4-2 split once again here on their defense half before they lead on to their attack on Cafe. You know, we're seeing Wolves obviously resurge after attack timeout. It's a very important stat, and how did G2 respond to that? One of the problems that they had on the previous map when their lead sort of filtered away from them was they were being caught out by hero plays, and they were trying to do their own and not quite having it land the same way. Their teamwork has been brilliant up to this point. They're trying big moments, but that last one was reminiscent of some of the failures on Chalet.
Again, a 3-3 split will be quite good for Wolves as they would be heading into the second half on that even ground. That's what they will be aiming for. All they need is to get one more of those entry kills they've been able to build up so far. 4 out of 5 rounds have gone that way. We're now trying to find out where the 6th will go. Out of the G2 or Wolves. Drone's being pinged out. I believe that is a Mozzie hack drone, so they're trying to figure out if they can take it down. As Alamau, spotted out, is trying to find himself a way out. The pre-forest come through, takes a small amount of damage, but he survives for now.
Everybody's still standing. Nobody wants to suffer the first engagement because it seems to herald the end times. There's always a push and a fight right behind. If we are the ones that talk about the importance of trade statistic, these are two teams that try and prove that it's a golden mantra etched at the top of every rule book of how you should do this. P4, in the meantime, creeps up alongside Mowgli. They're next to the double reading wall. It's all locked, but remember last time they just tried to beeline it straight in. This time it's a little bit of width and a great take. Benja gone. P4 showing what this rifle can do. A fantastic snap connection. Doki steps in to replace the fallen teammate as Virtue's under pressure. They've only really got the single player on the top floor where they're going to hold on or rotate back. The vertical's still important. The double wall is being cracked open. Alamau gets caught as well, just from P4. Swinging the same door, P4! He's almost got his namesake worth the kills this round, and there's only one player left to do it on. Blur, he's trying his best to hold out, but it is a flawless round to end the Wolves' even half.
3-3, it's huge for Wolves, and after that timeout, 2 rounds in a row, and now onto the defense they go. Rice is tasting it. He's feeling it.
And
rounds away.
Mira.
Yeah, Mira's being picked. We see it as well in the meantime.
S'il vous plaît, please.
Yeah.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused.
I love that the little wolf is always looking at the camera.
Little plushies they bring.
Does it have a name? Do we know?
I don't know if we do.
We need to find that out.
As far as I know, I'm not aware of any.
Milos, if you're doing the interview, these are the important questions you need to be asking.
Need to be asking.
What's the name of the wolf? At the minute, B. We start here on the top floor. Bar is where we're locked in. A big preference in EU as a region, as a sort of first lead-in site. It gives itself some success. You can sort of force a take, force a play. It's one or the other, really. There's not a lot of adaptation that you can truly bring to this in terms of your attack. You have to approach in similar formats from similar locations, really often regardless of what is up against you.
And it's the thing, right? It's often revolving around piano and, you know, going in from cigar.
You don't get a lot of wiggle room around that.
We've sometimes seen another push to come through, mostly in CL. I still remember the Gamma push. That was just everybody repel up to the east side. And EL just went in roughly around the same time, looking like that. It is possible.
Gamma.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, isn't it?
Yeah.
That one got highlighted back then as well.
Ooh, look at this, though. Straight in underneath. 2 of them trying to hunt Bibu inside reading. There's pressure coming around. There's somebody stacked up on the pillar's door as well. There's Benja, Alamau, and Doki entirely encircling the loose player. Bibu caught out. They knew who they wanted. They knew what they wanted, and Doki was scared he was going to get hunted when he played underneath, and, well, he was eventually, but not quite like that. That was full dedication. P4. He's sprinting his way closer in towards Whiskey. He's getting himself tucked in the corner, waiting for maybe something, but how quick they were to do that work puts a good bit of fear into the remaining Wolves.
Yeah, for sure. Within the minute, the roam already taken care of. The camera now will be hacked as well, and that means G2 have full access to the information network that has been used or is there still from the side of Wolves. Of course, no bulletproof cameras here, no evil eyes, no yokais. There is no Valkyrie on the board, so basically you only get default cams at this point, but it's still something that you can use.
You can see P4, he's drawing focus. He has some support here from the Wamai. They're doubling up. They want to lead the next engagement. They definitely, as I said, want to make sure that the trade is something that goes in their favor. Doki caught out. P4 went really aggressive, slipped past the drone, and well, that is an unfortunate moment for there, but a great read, a great bit of momentum from P4 to just keep the pressure going. You never know when you might slip past their intel and become the problem. Alamau, talking of, slips his way in, just saw the tip of a hammer, and as Alamau's going for the plant, somebody needs to pay a bit of attention. There's the motion. Did they just read the site was empty? The spray connects, but a little too late, a post-plant. And they've moved off the hatch. They're going to go for the trade back in. There's a fight underneath. Benja, he's trying to get the angle. He misses the man. He cannot find him.
Let's go. Machine Axel aussi d'aller en bas là.
Hello, A-Stream.
Hello, you just joined in to a frustrating end of a G2 round. But a very good one if you're a Wolves one, because just sticking it like that, the kill coming through and instantly rotating in, get on that diffuser, start diffusing it. The fight taking on downstairs as well just buys you the extra bit of time.
Oh, it was a sneak plant of everybody holding on. The sun realization, the lock at the kill, but it coming a little bit too late, and then the boldness to go, well, we got them, let's get that. And taking opportunities, 101. I said it about P4 being able to take one and slip on by the information game and get that kill onto Doki. But then the follow-up there is just that game put to a T by these two teams. Wolves, they pull ahead, and as you can see in the top middle of your screen, they're already one up, and this is a map where it's G2's map, sure, but an even half leading into the start.
The 12% that do have channel points in Wolves are currently howling for their potential returns. 3-4, and we are seeing a bit of a extension towards the top, but that's quite usual. You want to be making sure you have some verticalities towards the actual kitchen. Openings will be made by G2. They are bringing a shield, they're bringing that Monty. Doki gets the first, that's Bibu removed. He's not been having the best of games, but it also means that Bakery is instantly under control now. They're basically on the front door of the site already, which is going to be really dangerous for Wolves.
Oh, look, there's a Goyo canister that they're trying to pop so no one follows in immediately behind, and it's Mowgli that pops around and gets Virtue tucked on the window. The Monty's just going to stack himself, so nobody can entirely swing their way back, so that's why the smoke canister gets thrown. It forces him out of the door, but Benja gets Rise over the top, and there, round the back of coat check, Benja gets one more. Snuck his way in, he's stolen all the coats. P4 with the impact gets close to the end, but P4 still on the terror that he's been able to just put across this G2 approach, and even the defense on the last round before. It allows them a second, it allows them a bit of breathing room to sneak their way back around. They also still have control above. Inside train, they cannot just drive themselves in on the plant now. The Monty's gone as well, so you can't get the coverage with the Turtle Shield shell if you want to. What G2 have, though, is more than 20 seconds on the clock.
It's a really weird round so far. Like, kills just keep on happening everywhere. The side is completely open. No one is really being able to take control of it. And G2's now afraid of actually pushing through. They know there's no one out there. There is a player actually near. Gets a kill from above. That's Blur taken down. Benja is quite low on HP as well. He gets swung on by the 9x19. Fiasetto with impact almost finishes the jump for him. But B4 gets the kill. Benja trades him out. The 4 bang onto the last.
I agree, Doki.
What is that laugh?
That is disbelief, baby. That was insane, Benja. The recent addition, the pickup to a roster replacing considered one of the best gunners in the game. What do? Pull out some of the best guns in the game. Hell of a bite back there. And the only reason G2 ended up winning the round, it was scrappy the whole way through, but think about how they started to pull it in was Benja from Coat, gets the double, keeps himself alive, pulls back, doesn't swing into the next engagement of player's life against the Capcan when it's sort of a bit hit and miss, and forces the Capcan to have to go back to the site. And then just gets a couple of kills on the end of it. Didn't get the ace because Doki got the opener, but may as well take the bow for the round.
I mean, that's it, right? Like, Doki got that first kill. G2 tried to go quick. They basically were being reeled back in by Wolves, as you just mentioned. If it wasn't for Benja, that would have been a 3-5 for Wolves right now, and they would be starting to, well, get even more energetic, starting to get towards that map and series point. So they can thank Benja for that round of 4K. And we start again with another round. 3 minutes starting to tick down as we're headed towards the reading room. Look at about that. Defense so far has been pretty 50-50 on that. We've seen it won once by the defense, once by the attack. It's now up to G2 to see which one will be more favored.
Benja waits in anticipation. It gets popped open for him, and he's hoping he can lean in from somebody underneath, but no catch, no reward, nothing. Yeah, they're still curious though. They're hoping Rise might try and step himself into a challenge and go a little bit wider. He's not giving them that as of yet. Takes a more sheltered route out of there. They don't want to have the entrance statistic fall away from them because, as we've said many times throughout this series, when it does, it seems to dictate a little bit more of the pace of the round, especially with how scrappy this game has turned into. The first person to stab seems to be the one that at least ends it hobbling.
Duff moving quickly. Hoping to work together with his remaining members. Taken care of by Bibu. I was just going to say, that could go either way. Grenade coming through now as well, but Keeper Barrier stops it from happening. Doki still gets the kill over the cross, though. Yeah, he was making sure that they're in a position to go for the pinch. They're trying to find the smoke as well, and causing a bit of problem. And Bibu obviously got the opening kill, and he's tucked himself with some solidity to his left-hand side, and the Solid will make sure he's locked down a bit. Without Virtue on that window, well, it means that he can play it a little bit longer, and they still need to pay focus to the site. P4
We've highlighted his aggressive maneuvers and how they've been a great lead-in for the team before. They're going to see if they can continue that. And at this point, Bibu's gone. Failed the first grenade, get a little bit too close for comfort. May as well. You've still got time and use down in the site itself. As Rise inside pillars will be the next point of pressure.
Verticality now becoming an issue for Wolves. They need to be careful of, as well as Benja. All the way on the back of the tower is just looking over the pillar side. You need to be careful now as a Wolves member to not overstep, to not overstay your welcome. Shinka's still down below. That C4 could be huge. As Rise finds Benja. So that is going to be a lot of pressure suddenly gone from the outside. It's before the claim put down earlier. Brings it back to a 3-on-3.
Hidden in the plant pot, disguised. No one takes a second to smell the roses. And that's a catch. And there's another one, Rise. Love how Wolves are just stepping themselves so aggressive. Blur inside the site, alone with a diffuser and 3 French Wolves, or 2 and a Belgian, circling. Not for very long. Wolves, they respond. They're 1 round up once again.
Machine, Val, machine, ma gueule. Voilà, il prend un time-out, c'est qu'on fils de pute. 2 roues dans l'épée. On joue pas comme en 2000 ici.
Attack break coming out from G2. Logically, of course, because they're currently 2 rounds away from losing the series. So let's hear what they have to say.
Because if we look at all of these kills that they're getting, are we able to trade on all of it? Are we even close to being able to trade to it? No, we're not. We need to play with the information. They're going to do the rat plays, just like they did last map. So let's stop giving them these freebies. Start playing as a group. If we need to slow down the tempo, fucking do it. But stop giving the freebies.
Guys, they are giving areas for us in map for this. They are just playing for exit, same way Dub7M did. They're just like falling back and waiting for Dexter, so we can't fuck on Dexter, okay?
Yeah.
It shows some fucking confidence now as well. Let's fucking get this done.
Yeah, we got this, no problem. But like, just a small thing, like, tell who can move the drone, Jake, because I don't know whose run it was.
The drone's still important in the baseball.
Jake?
No.
So it's not important. Because we hold pillar. Even if the guy links brown like this.
All good, let's go, boys.
The disruptive hero plays from Wolves are still the issue. They were during the first map, they seem to be now. And I mean, all you have to really say is Rise in that last round.
Yeah.
Picking up those 2 kills from that one door, just basically freebies. And then stopping Blur from even being able to put the diffuser down, forcing him to rotate into another line of sight. It's the kind of stuff G2 needs to work on. And they need to work on it quickly because time is running out. Wolves are on course to beat G2 and knock them down to the lower bracket.
Hey.
Yes?
Remember when Fabian was just there, like, they're playing these sort of rat plays?
Yeah.
P4 is a big part of that. P4 is now picked up Kavera.
Talking about rat plays.
Yeah, talking about people who are built to hide in corners and get surprise strikes and cause massive problems.
Yeah. Are we going to see an interrogation? Maybe.
I mean, that would be
It will be the end of G2.
It would be the worst thing for G2 to suffer because they know that that's the problem. It's not just, you know, the rotations, but look at the positions that they keep finding themselves in. Wolves are tucking. They're just on the inside of a door. They're really wanting to meet the fights in places that G2 don't expect because they know that G2's playing this, like, build-up team game and doing these pinches very well. We've seen it, and it can be quick. But sometimes a surprise can ruin a whole party. The motion of P4 underneath is going to keep them alive for a little bit as the attention is paid out generally across the eastern side. We talked about this being the front. We talked about how the defenders then have to sort of remobilize and reposition. You can see some of that's coming through, but with only 2 window players for now, well, 1 window player maybe for now and 1 response, it's a slightly different story. Oh no!
There it is. That's.
Oh no! There is somebody above. There is somebody above, but it's an interrogation! They're able to get out of there. Bibu gets the cover. They cannot quite get the kill in time.
How did you get away with that?
Oh, they really shouldn't have. Alamau is left staring down a chasm of pain. And the French have said, yeah, we're playing these plays, and we're pretty dang good at them. Alamau, he's able to get one. Mowgli handed him the fight. At this point, that might be the only lead-in.
I'm gonna write down interrogation. That's it. It's on. This round is won. Alamau, yeah, might have still an opportunity. There's a minute left on the clock if you can isolate them. Pretty far as they're coming through. He's quite afraid of someone coming down from below. The Bibu's going to be locking it off there, and that is 1 round now for Wolves.
I like how you just have like...
Okay, there's 2 people above him right now. Why? How? Why is no one looking at
Was
it?
it 2? I think it was just 1.
No, the Buck and the Yana were both up there, but Alamau just ran away to the skylight. The Buck was on the red stairs, but, you know,
Okay.
where's the communication in that?
Yeah, well, this is also the thing as well, is like, what I was saying, I love how you can hear the French team very vocal, very aggressive, and then through that you just get Lillian's laughter.
Yeah.
Because what else can you want from the team right now? There's sort of a couple of factors in how a team can play on a day. This energy from Wolves, and this energy with this much joy, and this much let's try things, has not been present at this tournament.
No, it hasn't been. And what did I say? Like, when we started out this game, they won 2 best-of-3s now. Confidence is building. They're playing against a team they have practiced for 3 days straight, 15 maps. They've lost almost every single one of them, but as a result, they know exactly how to be effective against G2.
5 seconds left.
And then you win the first map. And now you're 4-6 up on the back of an interrogation. I mean, that's all just working towards you. G2. You were told to play like a team, be together, be a unit. You have 2 more rounds to make up for now.
They were able to pull themselves to OT on the first map. They didn't win it out. They at least proved part of the puzzle. Benja slips on past the Banshee, goes up and up and up. There's a close fight that Shinka, well, goes and says hello. They can't get the full lock, but there's a Melusi that's there to be the end of it. Blood does find Rise. Huge that they're at least able to find one immediately back. But you've lost Benja. You've lost the person who's the reason this game technically isn't already over with a huge clutch round. You've still got a lot ahead of you. You've still got the site structure to take care of. At least you still have some grenades. At least you haven't lost anything in too much of a specific.
Still though, the confidence of Mowgli just running down there after the first pump of the shotgun doesn't do the job. He's like, I'll do it, don't worry, don't go for another swing. I'm here to pick up these kills. And at 4-4, Bibu now going aggressive himself as well. He's covered by the camera above him. That will be providing him information if someone does push in. Of course, the drone will be the first move to be made. Blur is currently using that. Spots out one of the players. They are going to try and work together to isolate him, I would believe so. And it's Mowgli behind the bar.
The beeps come through. They're trying to just hold in and see if they can get the angle as the fire pops. They're waiting and slowing them down for now. It's a swing that Doki's able to win out. They have the body advantage, but it's never really been for too long in this engagement. One more for Alamau. And they pop themselves forward. P4 though, and Bibu, and P4 once again. Either side finally puts an end. A 1 versus 1 Virtue. He has a lot of time, but look to his left, the rotate's coming through. P4's been aggressive this whole game, not quite working!
I listen, I heard he good me. I prefer him.
Good job, Jake. Fucking go, man.
For sure, 1v2. Let's get this last one, is all he says. Because they want to go to overtime. They need to go to overtime, otherwise they're going down to lower bracket.
I mean,
Too close there again.
It's so close. It's never not been terrifyingly close for this G2. It's never not been a fight and a brawl today. And
Defenders, protect your bombs from...
how do we find ourselves sinking further and further into this? G2 still have one more round. One more chance.
To catch up, to stay alive, to not go down to the under bracket after, well, pulling themselves together to find themselves in that second seed where they could choose their opponent. It's always a bit of irony when you get to choose, right? You get to pick who you want to play against, and then you will be beaten 2-0. It's a bit like, ooh, it's a bit spicy.
It's always, yeah, it's tough because so much goes into it. And so much goes into it from your side if you're the one making the decision. If you're the one sort of having the call of, I want to play these guys, it's because you obviously think you can beat them. That's how it goes. And that's not just the history of you beating them, but also their current mental state, how you think they're sort of playing, how you think their tournament's been going. It's always stuff that's tied into it. And to be fair, if G2 made the call, I'm not sure if they were the ones or if it was because of group seeding. I know some of the teams, it was sort of...
They were second pick.
Second pick?
Yeah. So they actually...
You don't blame them for making the choice at the time based on WOL's performance. They were only a couple of rounds from not being here. If their OT games against Direwolves had gone to Direwolves, Wolves would have been eliminated.
Yeah, no, that definitely would have been the case. Also, air jab just got hurt there. Rice takes it down now, lets himself know, like, hey, I'm close. He was a grenade that's getting pulled now by Benja. Jump over comes through. Needs to be very careful here. He's being hunted down. Fair to say the grenade didn't catch anything as two people just flew right at him.
Mowgli getting some structure built on the top once again. Nobody's been caught as of yet, and that's an important part of this. But I think mainly for G2, they are cautious. They have to push together. They have to try and isolate the single player, the break on the window, the restructure from Mowgli, the cover there from Bibu around wood, around lumber as well. They're struggling to sort of find the first in. They're having to break through a lot of this control. Bibu is buying himself some time as well. Not going to risk the bulletproof punch. They know the swing will come behind it. There's still some danger that might come up behind them though from P4.
They need to go down at some point. It is the reading room. So yeah, Stokey's up here now, G2 is up here now. They're working on getting that verticality, but they're not sure if it's clear. Time is still being wasted. P4, he is still holding on as well. Whilst he is being watched from above, at some point that drop will have to come through as well, because the plant, again, needs to be going down a floor. So for now, Wolves in full control in these last 60 seconds. Nothing to worry about.
This is maybe one of the longest. We've had all the players, and that's right, Blur is playing the long game of watching and waiting from the back end. The spray through, the pressure, the door's still locked. Pillars was a big fight from Rise last time, but this time they've handed over a little bit more, and he's instead watching the opposite end. They're still trying to find where G2 is, but look at Shinka, ready to swing up Brown. Look at the positions of the Wolves players. They're more than happy to strike when the iron is not hot, but low on time. Pretty soon, we might all be pointing a couple of Pengu quotes in the chat, because this is all they have left. Doki is the first gone. There's the next by P4. The watch on the flank is gone. They've got to try and just drive into sight. They're in. They're able to get one off the back. Benja, Tuck going for the plant. The cover is on the door. They have some watch above. They're trying to swing their way around back. Virtue with a huge kill in the fight down Zulu. To 3 versus 2. The remaining G2 players did just enough to watch on, and they're not going to hand anything else over. P4. He's on the vertical hunt. He's been able to retake the top floor with Rise, moving in behind the intel. They bring it back to the 2 versus 2. Virtue's outside the door. Alamau's buried in the middle. There's Virtue, putting it into the fight. There's a swing round, and there's Alamau for another OT.
Good fucking calling, Carl.
Good job, guys. Good fucking job, guys. Good exercise.
Defense.
Good exercise. Cole, this is not an exercise. This is the real thing. If you'd lost that one, it would have been over, but a good push coming through, and even though you lost those first initial players, all you need is the cover to be there when the plant goes through, and that's exactly what G2 had. They might have not had a lot of control, but they had enough to make it work.
Attackers need to locate and
Bit of silence before the storm comes through, as we're headed towards another G2 defense. 2-3-3 halves is what we had. It is quite literally as 50-50 as it gets throughout the game so far. Just quickly checking as well. So has the kitchen been. Very 50-50.
It's so tense. It's so tense at this point because it's really the weight of every single round, especially in the past 4 or 5, you can feel it. You know that there's that sort of sentiment that this game is stepping into, and obviously it's the second map of these two hitting the showdown, but it's starting to feel like the weight of this game is matching now. G2, they're back on their defense. They had a mixed bag. It was even halves, as you pointed out, either side. It's time to see if they can try and get back to where they were once upon a time, where they had the chance of getting more on their defense. There's only 2 rounds separating them from going home. Well, not going home. Lower bracket first. My apologies. But there's also 2 rounds separating us from our map 3 of Bank.
The situation we're in now. Wolves approaching for a top floor hold again. Logical. You want to drip down through the site, through the map. Make sure there's nothing left behind that could come to haunt you. The setup at G2 as well is not going to be using any verticality. Everything is horizontal. That means that, you know, they don't really have to worry about these top vertical angles when you start moving in with that diffuser. But it does mean you need to be taking more of these horizontal fights, and more crossfires thus will be on the board, which does make it harder to play against. EMPs come in to stop any ADSs out there, the bounce of the grenade as well to get rid of the shield. That's going to be making VIP a bit harder to take control of, but Alamau stuck high up, no, actually Blur up on the table, is going to be making sure that he's on a bit of an off angle if he does get swung on.
Yeah, they've pulled themselves somewhere else, but look at this. The pressure might be about to come down Brown. They've got some of the angles. They're watching for a rotate and hoping to catch a G2 hero play on the back end. One of the lessons that was attempted to be drilled into this team during the showdown was stop it. We're beating them on team play. We know that we can take them in the 5-on-5 if it comes down to it. The longer we have that, chances are we're more likely to pull things together. So you have a hold like this from G2 all spread around, a network of attention paid, the cover of what is being smashed open. Let Wolves play against the time and let's strike whilst we can. Doki is inside the site as the hatches starting to get a little bit more direct focus. That'll be the call. They do still have the player around Coat. They do still have VIP locked down as well, but when is the motion going to turn into movement?
Keeper barrier probably going to be used to provide some extra security because phone calls are coming. That means that a push is on its way. Doki falls back a little bit further towards the cooking area. He doesn't want to stick around. Blur finds the first. Shinka tries to respond because that's the VIP player.
That's it, 20 seconds, and they've been able to get that entry on the player now stuck alone inside and towards the freezer itself. Bibu's trying to offer some support for the swing, but look at the time. This is what they wanted to push, and Shinka pushes the site. Doki gets caught out. Bibu gets one, cannot get the next. Mowgli has Blur. They're swinging their way. Benja C4 stops the plant. They got to try and pick it up. Benja just has to see if he can get this snuck round. Do they know where he is? They're watching the wrong way.
Lack of information in the end there for Wolves. First of all, the C4 coming through, stopping that plant. And then not having the right cover on point. Of course, Benjo was the one person unaccounted for. They had another kill up there. They knew there was the Frost. They take him down both. Suddenly there's a third player coming from that side.
This is the reason that you pick up Benja. This series alone, maybe this map alone, has sort of just shown what he can do in these big situations, because it's not just sort of having these sort of, you know, he's not doing it on a league night, he's not doing it on a quieter night, he's doing it as a young gun on the biggest stage in the world of a team with, rightfully or wrongfully, a lot of pressure on it based on the accreditation of the team itself, and here you are able to pull 2 round clutches out. One of 4K1, the combination there, the C4, and then the movement round on the back end to go where you weren't being watched. It is just such a boon, and the reason G2 is still in this game.
It is. He kept them alive twice, and he probably won't stop anytime soon.
Alamau needs 3 more kills if he's to live up to what Fabian requested.
Yeah, I mean,
you missed it at the very start, especially if you came over from A. Fabian's word was you have to get 15 kills. We didn't get the full read, but Alamau did not have a good first map, so I think that was...
It's probably just to make up for it.
Yeah, just to make up for it, and then they maybe wouldn't mock him for the first map. Either way, 7-6. Maybe if we can get ourselves over into this third map, and Fabian won't mock anybody. That's a lie, of course he will.
That's a lie.
That's a lie. G2. They got to see if they can try and pinch their attack here to the top. We will go, but we'll start from the bottom. Will it be a hunt onto Bibu as they have opened before?
Yes, I mean there's a drone looking right at the head.
Look at that. You can see the calls.
He's dead. There's no surviving this. If he gets away with one kill, actually, Shink on the cover.
Oh,
they're
from above! It was a bait! They laid the French trap of Bibu holding in a corner. Mowgli finds Benja as well. Oh, they knew!
It was a ruse.
It was a ruse all along! It's like a human alibi. They've fallen right for it. The cover was there. They waited and put the perfect bait. But here, with 2 opening bodies gone, they lose the calls that haven't already been used. The Capitao. Alamau does find Rise with the grenade, so it might be a little bit better coverage in terms of confidence moving behind it, but they don't really have the smokes anymore, so they don't have anything to stop against the Warden's blind. It's going to have to turn into a bit of a brawl, maybe some placement. Shinka suffers next. Pull themselves out a little bit further away, and they're just trying to evaluate if they can maybe get one more loose player.
Bottom floor now has been completely abandoned. The entirety of Wolves have gone up, but as Virtue finds Mowgli, suddenly that ruse that they laid turned back into a 2-on-2. 2 separate opportunities given to get us back to even numbers.
50 seconds. They've been able to pull a couple of the players out, but you've still got P4 who's having a terrifying game and has always been a terrifying problem. So, what do you do? Where do you watch? And how do you approach? Virtue can cover some of the angles. They also have dead players to watch the cams, the movement of the Talon shield, the focus. Shinka a little bit too late to put some bullets back, but look at the time. They can fall back at this point. The pressure is still on G2. They're probably going to see if they can tuck the Talon shield, so Bibu moves closer. A little spot in the corner of an angle, and Alamau is going to the opposite end. Where do you deploy the shield? You've got to do it soon. Bibu can't quite get the full shots, but they can move in. There's Bibu getting the freebie on the swing, the cover on the player on the plant. They're able to hop on the top, and we are going all the way for the second time.
But then I tell you, this might just become a series that goes to 45 rounds. And you know that happens after you play each other for 12 rounds, 50 maps in a row over 3 days. I mean, there's literally nothing hidden between these two except for the little trap, the bait we just saw happen in this round. Beautifully laid out. They realized what happened the last time they had a player down there. He was isolated quickly, was taken down. It was a free kill. Quickly, the pressure came on from G2. So what do? You set up some vertical angles. You start covering around the player. You act like you might have not seen the drone. I don't know if they actually did see the drone or might have not have. I don't know. Either way, it worked out perfectly for them. And that leaves us at this point where it's a coin flip. Map 3. Or it is a Wolves victory, defying all the odds. Really being the Underwolves. As they were made out to be. It is a G2 defense coming through. It is going to be a bar and cocktail and quickly going back. They've won it in round 1 and they've won it in round 4. So
100% success rate.
Exactly.
It's that sort of thing right now. They didn't bring it out as the first swing. They went kitchen instead. Maybe to sort of throw off the idea that we're going to bar, or maybe for this exact situation that we can win our kitchen, even though it's been a little bit back and forth before. And then we can just play ourselves onto this, onto bar. We can end the game knowing that we have the mental safety of going, we can play our bar. And as Alamau put it before, if you missed it at the very start, Doki was on the roam, having a good time, and then they sort of played away and moved it. They've changed the strategy this time. No mirror window, or no mirror setup that was the lead-in before.
It's the Izami setup they were talking about before, so Benja is going to be the key point now of holding onto Piano by using those keeper barriers outside of melee range, which means explosive need to be used to get rid of them. Stoke's still going strong on that roam. Wolves is just going for a bit of a rotate. It seems like they're going to be putting quite some pressure down onto that Piano. And that means that with 2 players here, G2 might just have them here.
This is it, and Doki, he's got the impact, but it's being closely watched on the corner. You have to time this and risk it perfectly and hope they're repelling on the opposite side, the white window, and that will be the call from Rise, who's now just lifted up. You see Doki go back, but they're watching. P4 is waiting for exactly that. Benja gets P4 as the trade out, pops up the window and shoots back down, but suffers quite a lot because of it. Rebuilds on the watch on the opposite end. He's still alive. He's not for very long though. The grenades bounce around, a lot of utility dedicated, but you had to. That was the idea of the play. We saw how much was dedicated from the Aruni and the Azami for just that specific location. It's theirs now, and the rotate from Wolves can come out. They can start putting the pressure elsewhere. They can peel some of their players. They have the man advantage. They have a lot of time. Do they have this series?
That's going to be the big question here. C4s are being tossed out. There's no more denial from range. All G2 have is going to be their guns and 60 seconds to hold on to against the 4 Wolves coming right at them here. Virtue, he fires a couple of shots, but he's not quite able to connect as of yet. As Alamau is going a bit aggressive, he wants to be swinging it from the piano to potentially go for a strike on the side.
He gets the call that the window's clear, but he sprays a bit, and that kind of says it right back. How much do you risk here? There is enough. Blur has been pinpoint throughout this series for G2, and he puts us back in the 3 versus 3, even hand, even game. A split push Rise on the far end, a bit of a rotation and a struggle with the drone, and oh, it's maybe the tensest moment that you got to try and get those rolled through. That will give a bit of the game. Mowgli's trying to find out the piece. They've put the pressure from the new hatch. They've slipped their way through. Alamau gets one. They're able to get the trade back in, but now with one needing to plant, Rise just to swing in. Pre-fires, gets it and moves. They will move across the upper